The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Guam's visitor industry is still not fully recovered from the global tourism downturn brought on by the COVID pandemic. More than 3 years later, Japanese arrivals in particular are still well below Guam's record pre-pandemic numbers. GVB Vice President Gerry Perez, in a recent presentation to the Chamber of Commerce, discussed the slow-to-return Japan market, citing the yen-dollar exchange rate and Tokyo's focus on boosting domestic travel as reasons for the sluggish response of what was once Guam's primary source market. Coming up on The Hub, VP Perez speaks in detail about the prospects for the Japanese market and GVB's plans to revitalize our top industry. We'll be right back.
The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to The Hub. I'm Nestor Lecanto. Our guest this week is Mr. Gerry Perez, who is the Vice President of the Guam Visitors Bureau, who recently made a kind of a State of the Islands visitor industry presentation for the Guam Chamber of Commerce. So I'll ask Gerry, welcome to the show, and I was wondering if you just give us a quick Cliff Notes version of your presentation to the Chamber.
Okay, very quickly, we updated the Chamber on where we are in terms of our trajectory in recovering post-COVID and post-Mawar. And then we talked a little bit about the shooting incident of a Korean visitor. And even though we had a big hit early on with, because we were tracking social media and the media in Korea, right? And after the first day, it started to recede and almost completely gone, particularly after the capture of the perpetrator and the press conference of the police. And when we were tracking the cancellations, it looks like there's only 1.5% of the total booked for the spring had canceled out. So it looks like, even though it was a blip, it looks like we're doing well in terms of not losing, a lot of those visitors. And then I updated the membership on our arrival numbers and our forecast. And basically, when we do our forecast, Nestor, we do like a best case, worst case, and a likely scenario. So the likely scenario that I shared with the Chamber was about 907,000 visitors for the year. It's close to 1 million, but it's still better than the 600 and some thousand that we finished the year with. So we were on track to be 40% pre-COVID by the end of last year. Typhoon Mawar really whacked us, but we only were short about 4 or 5% from our forecast because, as you recall, right after Mawar, GVB did kind of a novel creative idea of quickly granting funds to the different businesses that make up the value chain of the Guam destination experience. Because we felt that we didn't want to lose peak season traffic because, as you know, July, August, and September were very, very important months for arrivals. And we didn't want to lose that. And we know that it'll take maybe 2, 3, or 4 months for businesses to get money from either FEMA or SBA. So we can't lose that. And so by engaging in our tourist assistance program, we were actually accelerating the recovery of a lot of the businesses that make up the value chain of the Guam experience. Because even after the typhoon, we were marketing heavily in our source markets to make sure that Guam is top of mind and that the typhoon is typhoon and we're quickly recovering. But we need to give our marketing message credibility by providing that destination experience And so we repurposed about $2 million in our marketing budget for that program. And it worked because actually some of the businesses within 2 weeks were up in business. Valley of the Ladi, for example, within 2 weeks, we're back and operational, and other businesses followed. So, so we're making progress on our trajectory. And so the 907,000 plus visitors forecast for this year is what we're expecting. The other good part about that is Japan now is starting to improve. I mean, our Japan mix was down to like 5% at one time or less than that, but it's now climbing to about 27% in December of our market mix. So the Korean market is holding and our Japanese market is climbing in terms of the market mix. And so the other markets are fairly in line with our recovery, like the US and Taiwan is a bit of a problem because we have no direct flights from Taiwan. We only have charters coming from Taiwan, and bookings have to go through Japan or Philippines or Korea. So it's still a bit of a struggle from Taiwan. We anticipate later this year, hopefully by Chinese New Year or shortly thereafter, for hopefully scheduled service by China Airline, perhaps. The problem they're having in Taiwan is the same problem they're having in a lot of places, is there's not enough human talent to operate the aircraft and to crew the aircraft. And so, you know, in the airline business, they go for large volume scale, which we don't have, okay, which they have with other Asian destinations, or they go for long haul yields. And so we're not exactly at the top of their priority list in terms of allocating limited equipment and human talent.
So with their limited resources, they're looking for the best bang for their buck, I guess you could say.
Of course. And so that said, then we went and shared our first quarter results. Our first quarter results, actually, Japan came in at about 133% of our forecast for the first quarter. Korea, 105. Even the Philippines coming in at 114. And so you can see we're slowly climbing back out of the doldrums. In the first 7 months or first 7 days of January, our market mix improved yet again in Japan, up to 33% now. Korea is holding its own, and the rest of the markets are in line. Let me see what else I can share with you is we're doing an awful lot of work, what I call keeping the promise. Because when we promote Guam, as I said before, as a wonderful destination with beautiful beaches, scenery, and so forth, right, and safety, we're creating expectations in the minds of customers. And so we need to keep that promise. And one of the ways we want to keep that promise, particularly in terms of product quality, is spruce up, clean up, fix up, particularly down in Tumo. And I don't know if you know this, but we've got our own crew cleaning up and repainting the curbs and putting red paint on the sidewalk. The reason for the red paint on the sidewalk, Lester, is not just to create a sense of place, okay? Not only to define a sense of place, but those red paint are actually skid proof. So when you're walking, it's skid proof. You don't slip if it's wet. So that's part of the safety features as well. The other thing in terms of keeping the promise, the destination, is solar lighting. You know, it looks like we're going to be stuck with power outages for a while. Like it was looking like that last year, and there's no quick solution to that. So we can't really go dark in the center stage of our tourism industry for safety reasons and for other reasons. So I don't know if you noticed, but we've put up a lot of solar lighting up and down Tumon. And it was so well received that even the governor has asked us to see if we can reallocate some of our funding and install solar lighting also in other places, which we have. And so those are some of the things we've been doing in terms of improving product. We still have some funding that we want to devote for our VSO program. On my way to the chamber Friday morning, I was recalling that just the day before, around 3 p.m, a couple of our VSOs were able to rescue a couple of tourists that were stranded and headed out to sea. And so it's really a good investment, not just for tourists, but these VSOs are also helpful to local residents because local residents are visitors to the Tumon area as well. And so that's part of the safety and security aspect. The one thing I wanted to just share with you guys is, pre-COVID, I mean, the impact of COVID, as you know, has been just devastating. And it basically collapsed our industry for now going on the 4th year. And what we're noticing is that in this period of decline, and as we slowly increase arrivals, we've noticed that we really need to address the issue of service, because what has happened post-COVID is because of the prolonged downturn in tourism. There's institutional atrophy.
Yeah.
Institutional atrophy, not only in terms of the service culture, a lot of which is impacted by people who are working in the construction industry, because that's the only thing going for them a lot of times. So there's institutional atrophy that is not just related to the hospitality industry, but it's related to safety and security concerns, as well as just the ability to keep up and clean up the island. And so those are the areas of focus that we have been dealing with a lot.
All right.
On the marketing side, we actually have a couple really unique initiatives, particularly in Japan. We have a campaign starting in January, lasting until September this year, where a lot of businesses locally are providing special deals, special discounts on like car rentals or free rental of golf carts, or maybe 30% discounts on restaurants or some of the option tours. A lot of the what I call the supply chain in our tourism industry is offering these special deals. The significance of that is not just that they're offering these deals, but we're actually the first international destination where you can use Japan's app on Google Pay. Japan nationally has a Google Pay app where they go anywhere they want to in Japan and use the app to conduct business. Well, Guam is the first international destination where that app also applies. So the combination of local vendors in the value chain providing benefits, combination of that with the use of the Japan GoGo Pay app, I think should bode well for the next several months into September.
All right. Hey, Gerry, let me stop you right there. Take a quick break for some commercials, and then we'll come back and dive a little bit more deeper into the tourism industry recovery. We'll be right back.
The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. The Hub is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
All right, we're back with GVB Vice President Gerry Perez, and of course, Gerry was giving us a very comprehensive overview about the state of the island's visitor industry. And Gerry, I wanted to just dig a little bit deeper into some of the things that you said earlier. One of the keys that I understand is getting the Japan market back to where it was pre-pandemic. Of course, we've been we've had the Korean industry that's the Korean market that's been providing most of the tourists, but we really do need Japan from what I'm hearing. What are the efforts by GVB to bring back that particular market? I know that one of the hurdles has been the yen dollar exchange rate, but can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that obviously is not helpful, right? But the other thing is, if you look at Japan, we're actually tracking close to their outbound travel. Japan right now is experiencing an overflow of inbound and under departure on international travel. But if you look at the international travelers from Japan, we're tracking very close to that. I think their international travel is like 40 to 50% of pre-COVID. And so we're not far behind that. And what we're doing now with the this GoGo Pay campaign and the seminars that Carl and the team are in Japan for now is to really drive that. The other thing about Japan is it's probably one of the slowest to recover internationally because of not only the onerous requirements post-COVID, right, on return, but consumer sentiment is still more in favor of traveling domestically than going overseas. As a matter of fact, the number of passports that are issued for foreign travel is down. And up until recently, a lot of the travel agents are incentivizing travelers by providing like free costs of passport, that kind of stuff. So even though we're behind in Japan relative to our normal market situation, we're recovering very, very gradually in line with their international departure, trajectory. Their inbound is like their inbound is actually more than pre-COVID, and it's growth. Their outbound is still about 50 to 60% behind, and that's what we're tracking. And so we're doing our best to try to at least, stay in touch with their outbound trajectory.
Do you think we'll ever get back to where we were from the Japan market pre-pandemic?
I think so, but I think it'll be probably a lot longer than we had anticipated. We had visitors here over the weekend from JATA, Japan Association of Travel Agencies, and they are surprised that Korea has bounced back quite quickly, and they recognize the need to really hustle and to generate their outbound travel. Their outbound travel, if you're a Japan travel agency, right? They really make money more with inbound than outbound. And so what's encouraging them for outbound is that their balance of payments is full of surplus because it's one way coming in that direction, right? And so they're also working hard to try to rekindle interest in overseas travel by Japanese tourists. We're having some success with the use of influencers and social media. But at the end of the day, consumer sentiment that is a drag, it's not just unique to Guam.
Gerry, I know we've only got a few minutes left, but I recall that shortly after the pandemic hit, the discussion was that it would take, there was an acknowledgement that it would take a number of years to get back to, where we were, the record numbers pre-pandemic in 2019. So I guess as the final question, when do you think we will reach those pre-pandemic numbers and go better than that?
Well, other things being equal in terms of our recovery, we expect the Japan numbers to really come back up to by next year. Already we're hearing more flights on Japan Airlines coming. The timing and dates of that is still being discussed, but we expect there to be daily flights on JAL rather than the 3 or 4 flights now that they're flying. So things are looking up. And then, of course, our hometown carrier, United, is adding more capacity and frequency to Tokyo. Tokyo has been still our good market. It's still a bit of a struggle in Western Japan. And that's one of the reasons why Carl and the team are out there conducting seminars and trying to push and drive market out of Osaka and Nagoya and even as far as Fukuoka, perhaps. But it's, Japan, right? The Tokyo market consumer is very different from the Nagoya ones, very different from Osaka. And so it's not a monolithic market, I guess is what I'm saying. And so we need to tailor-make our programs. Of course, Tokyo is our biggest source market out of Japan. And so we want to make sure that that stays intact while we develop, the other markets that are more distant from Tokyo.
All right. So if I hear you correctly, Gerry, slowly but steadily, we're getting back there, and it shouldn't be too much longer where we can kind of get back to where we were before that horrible pandemic of 2020.
Yeah, our expectation is that by next year, we will come close to pre-pandemic levels.
All right, great luck, good work, and good luck to all of you at GVB, and hopefully what you're forecasting rings true. That's Gerry Perez, the Vice President of the Guam Visitor Bureau. I'm Nestor Conta. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week on The Hub.
Bye.